The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. This is February 28th and 29th, being read by Jean Perkle. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Matthew 7:1. Judge not, that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge ye shall be judged, and with what measures ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. This statement could come only from one who had a deep insight into the universal law of cause and effect, which balances everything, and sees that in the long run everyone receives his just due. The law Emerson called the high chancellor of God, the law of cause and effect, is the law of perfect balance, or of logical sequence and of inevitable consequence. Whatever a man sows, he must reap. The law of cause and effect is immutable, and every man's action produces an effect in his life, which he must ultimately experience, unless he transcends the law already set in motion. Such a concept supposes that we are surrounded by a universal law which is entirely impartial, and which returns to the thinker the logical effect of his actions. Man, being a free agent in this law, whether consciously or in ignorance, is continually setting it in motion to some definite end. Therefore, it is true, unalterably true, that he must reap as he has sown. This means that the life must return to us the manifestation of our motives, thoughts, and desires. Whether these motives, thoughts, and desires were intended for ourselves or others, it means that the thought of judgment, criticism, and condemnation must, in some time, operate against the one who sets it in motion. It is doubtless necessary to the well-being of society that our civil laws be enforced, else in our present state of evolution there would be no protection from those who seek to destroy society, but personal condemnation can be entirely eliminated. Ultimately, we shall see that the universe rests on the shoulders of love, that God is love, and that all the errors of man are the result of ignorance of his own true nature. The happy outlook on life is always constructive. The understanding heart is filled with sympathy and helplessness toward all. An evolved soul judges no one, condemns no one, but realizes that all are on the road of experience, seeking the same goal, and that each must ultimately find his home in heaven. In the long run, nothing judges us but the immutable law of cause and effect. Whoever deserves punishment will receive it, and whoever merits reward will find that it is brought by the hand of the Almighty and delivered to him. There is a direct law responding to condemnation and a direct law responding to praise and appreciation. It is, of course, the same law used in different ways. There is a law common to all people which responds to every man's belief in life at the level of that belief. No man can be happy who lives in a continuous state of condemnation of people, conditions, and things. We must learn to praise and not condemn. Religious morbidities. Those who have made a study of soul analysis are aware that poisonous secretions in the body are often the result of religious morbidities. The time has come to break the bondage of these false impressions. We are free souls, free spirits, and because this is true, our thought has creative power. And since it is this time, we must carefully choose what we are to think, for everything moves in circles. We do not say there is no evil experience. We say evil is not an entity, but a misuse of a power, which of itself is good. We shall never know the nature of good by dissecting the nature of evil. Thought retards or quickens. Everything our thought rests upon is either retarded or quickened by the power of that thought. Everyone is a law unto himself, under the great law of cause and effect governing all things. When we constructively praise and creatively bless, life abounds with love, peace, and joy. Let goodness shine forth. Let us learn to see that everyone is an evolving Christ. Let us so live and think that we may retire at night in peace, knowing that no harm can come to the soul, that we may rise in the morning renewed in body and in mind. with a brighter outlook, a happier expectation, and a clearer joy, looking upon all with love, condemning none, and blessing even those who seek to injure us. Let us learn to be perfect, even as that divine being residing in the heart of all and overshadowing eternity must be perfect. February 29th. The subjective mind of man is part of the universal subjective mind of God. It is the place where every man individualizes himself on the subjective side of life. It is his use of the law of cause and effect. It is his use of the law of karma. It is the law of the whole, now individualized as a law of the apparent part. It may produce either freedom or bondage according to the way that it is used. Man's use of the universal law makes it appear as though his subjective mind were an entity of itself. It never is, however, and this is one of the main points we should remember. It is not separate from the universal, but it is, in a certain sense, the property of the individual in the universal. God and man are one, but God is greater than man. The whole is greater than its parts. The universal subjectivity of mind in an abstract and formless state. That is, it is a potential energy that a latent power, which means that it is unformed, but always ready to take form. It is mind and substance in an unformed or uncreated state of being. It is a ready it is ready to become molded into any or all forms. It is an unexpressed power, substance, and creativeness. It is unexpressed mind. It waits to be called into form or expression. It exists in its original state, invisible but potential with all possible form. A creative universal energy waiting to be used, to be operated upon, willing but having no volition of its own, ready but having no initiative, formless but ready to take form. Mind in its subjective state is universal. Mind in its subjective state cannot act until it is set in motion by mind in a conscious state. Therefore, universal subjective mind is a doer and not a self conscious knower. It knows how to do, but it does not have any conscious knowledge that it is doing. Man calls it forth into expression. The universal mind is contained the essence of everything that ever was, is, or shall be. The seen and the unseen are in it and governed by it. It is the sole and only creative agency in the universe, and all other apparent creative agencies are it working in different ways. Things exist in the universal mind as ideas. Ideas take form and become things in the concrete or the visible world. Thought calls things forth from the universal into expression. The correct understanding that mind in its uninformed state can be called forth into individualized use is the key to all proper mental and spiritual work from a practical viewpoint. To know that we are surrounded by such a creativeness is not enough. However, we must use this knowledge for definite purposes if we expect to make conscious use of the law for personal self expression. In this limitless medium, the potential of all our desires exist in an unformed state. The unformed is ready to take form, but having no intention of its own. Because it is not self knowing, form must be imposed upon it. Form is imposed upon it by its self knowing mind of God and of man. Man is the little world, God in the great world. The invisible essence of mind is substance, that is, an unformed stuff, and energy. It is energy plus intelligence. Intelligence is conscious energy working upon unformed substance in accord with law. When man makes or demand upon himself or upon the universe, which flows through the self, he is making a demand upon original mind and original energy. Thus, his demand causes original mind and energy to produce certain specific things for him. Thus, a new creation produced by the same creative force or energy that produces all things. The mind that man uses to conceive new ideas is the original mind of God. There are not two minds, but one. The universal and the individual are one in essence. The only apparent difference is in degree only.